Hey everyone, True Love here. Chapter 1078 has just been released. We are finally getting some answers to one of the mysterious happenings on Egghead. A battle wraps up, a betrayer is revealed, and we get some violent foreshadowing. If you haven't read One Piece chapter 1078, please go do so now, as I will be spoiling it. I'll wait here. So, the secret is out, and we now know that York is the Vegapunk body that betrayed all the rest. When we first met York, Oda purposely led us towards thinking that she was this lazy, impulsive, basically a slave to all of the emotions of the Vegapunks. So her role in the team was to eat, sleep, and you know what else, for everyone else. She was made to look slightly inept, to be honest, in my opinion. And in the final panel of this chapter, we get her towering over Stella. She looks absolutely malicious, she looks evil, and she looks dangerous. Isn't it just incredible how an artist can draw a character a specific way to make us feel a specific emotion towards them? Whether it's some innocuous feeling of nothingness or legitimate panic, which is what we're getting with York at this stage. We find out here that she betrayed the Vegapunks for two reasons. One, she wants to be the sole Vegapunk, and two, she wants to actually become a celestial dragon. So we obviously need to hear more about her motivation, but it does make sense. Stella confirms that she's been to Mary Joa and has seen how the celestial dragons act. And if all she wants to do all day is laze around, eat and sleep, then you know what, she'll actually fit right in. The grayed out faces of Stella and York really sort of amplify the scariness of this final page. She looks emotionless, she looks evil, her eyes look dead, whilst he looks absolutely terrified. So hopefully someone gets down to them soon to help out, and I'm sure you know we have a hint later in this chapter on about who is on their way down there now. The chapter also includes a mini flashback to 3 months earlier, and we can hear a phone call between the traitor calling the world government and tipping them off about the research that's been going on in Egghead Island. It repeats what we already know. We're kind of getting this told to us every bloody chapter at this point. CP0 ships inspected the island. They found nothing. They didn't make it back to the naval base. Yep, we got that. What we get that I love is some faces of the Marines that are on their way to Egghead now with Kizaru and Saturn. It says these other Marines are from several other naval branches, which makes me think of Kurouma or Black Horse, who were introduced to in chapter 1054 as the head of the criminal investigation branch. So maybe these guys are going to be more Marines that hold a rank sort of adjacent to a Vice Admiral. Maybe they are Vice Admirals, who knows? But purely judging by their designs, they seem like real threats, like legitimate threats. And like Oda has put a significant amount of time into them and their character designs. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing them in action. The chapter actually opens with Sentomaru, and he's taking control. He's obviously got a leadership position on Egghead. He's taken control of these citizens and workers and has them all running around to prepare the ships so they can evacuate as quickly as possible as soon as they have the Vegapunks on the ships. After he explained the danger they're in due to the world government discovering their research about the Void Century, the citizens are completely panicking like crazy and trying to escape before these ships arrive. Because of what happened in Ohara, because of what we know, because of what Sentomaru knows and what he just explained to them, you really can't blame these people for becoming so panicked. As you know, despite their innocence, despite them not being the ones actually running any research on Egghead, they know that they're basically doomed if they don't leave the island before the Navy arrives. We catch up with half of Frankie, who's whirling his arm around saying he can still punch a snake. However, she just calmly walks past him, slowly, straight towards the basically defenseless head of Pythagoras, and just cold-heartedly crushes his head beneath her boot, causing a huge explosion. This is just nuts. She did this as Pythagoras was begging her to wait, completely ignoring his orders as a Vegapunk who was supposed to have, the high priority. Just like that, we've lost Shaka and Pythagoras in the space of a few pages. And straight away, I actually really enjoy when the antagonist, when the bad guy has a plan that's good enough to work. When the hero just gets plot armor and stops the bad guy at every turn, it's not fun, it's not engaging. So seeing the Seraphim who have been ordered to kill Vegapunk, seemingly by York. Having them find some success versus the Straw Hats is actually great because it raises the stakes. And now we know that we can't just take for granted that anyone's going to survive. Chopper and Robin are floating around with Atlas, and it sounds like they're going to be heading down to the basement to look for Stella. Atlas seems to know about the room that has been sealed for ages, and will be some very necessary help for Chopper and Robin to deal with whoever or whatever is stalking down there. Obviously, York is down there already, but who knows? It seemed like Caribou was helping take out all of the transponder snails already, and also we get confirmation from... I can't remember if it was Jinbei or Sentomaru in the chapter about all of the transponder snails have now been taken out. So I doubt that York had time to secretly go around and do it, but Caribou with his devil fruit, he is in a very good position to just sneak around with his swamp fruit and to take out all of the transponder snails. Maybe my favourite panel in the whole chapter comes from Sanji fighting S-Shark. So he cops a full frontal fishman karate style punch from the Seraphim in his face, and he just smiles like an idiot. Like, he doesn't even lose his cigarette. He's just sitting there with his cigarette in his mouth smiling. It's such a Chad move. He says that is the power of undying love, and I'm sure it is somewhat. Everyone knows how he feels about Nami, but we all know about his recently awakened exoskeleton too, so keep that in mind. Still, it is very clear that him versus S-Shark is going to be a long war of attrition, and at this rate, if they can't deal any damage to each other, it's just going to keep going and keep going and keep going, at least until Sanji decides to get serious. Actually, I really hope he puts his raid suit back on. I doubt that he will now that he's, awakened his body. But maybe if he needs like a final power up, maybe right at the end he could use it as like a trump card. I love that design. So it would be really cool to see how much it amplifies him at this stage when he's already gotten the power up with his from his fight with Queen. We find out that S-Hawk has slipped away from the battle versus Luffy and the gang, and Lucci helps us understand that it's probably just reprioritized its targets. That's what he would do with his, strategic mind. He tells Luffy that it's going to go after the weaker links in the chain so as to defeat them with, a lot more ease than he would Luffy in an attempt to rattle and handicap the stronger team members. With that, Zoro immediately runs off to try and find it, and Luffy actually has a nice leadership moment as he tells Usopp, who is actually Kaku, to go with him to make sure he doesn't get lost. Of course, I mean go with Zoro. No matter how small, I like that Luffy has these little captain moments like this, even if it's tongue-in-cheek with him calling Kaku Usopp. So guys, that is all the main points of this chapter, and I can't believe we actually don't have a break next week, so we're getting even more One Piece content. 2 of the Vegapunks are dead, leaving 5 for the moment. S-Hawk is missing. S-Snake is now free to find somewhere to find more targets. Stussy and Jinbei are free and roaming around, so hopefully they can lend a necessary hand somewhere to someone. We're getting back into the excitement of Egghead and have some great battles coming up. Not to mention, I am sure we're about to learn a whole lot of history about the world that will shape the future of the story to come. It is a great time to be a One Piece fan, guys. I'm stoked. Finally, if you have listened this far to the video, please consider leaving a like, a comment, or even subscribing. I would love to get to 300 subscribers, and you can help me do that. With that, I am out. Cheers, and I will see you all next week.